pleasant good evening to all those who are watching us via television, listening via radio, and logged on via internet. I also want to greet our citizens, residents in the diaspora, wherever you find yourself, and in particular, students of St. Kitts and Nevis nationality who are out there studying at this time. You are not forgotten. Today, we return to our 53rd daily report, and I want to again highlight my theme that I have adopted for myself. I want to be the first to be last and the last to be first. We look at the particulars for calls, and again, the biggest highlight we see there is prank calls. Prank calls, a total of 65. I had a discussion today with one of the supervisors at 911, and she was giving me the category and classification of some of these calls. Again, she said that persons call and they give bad words. Persons call and they just listen, they're just there saying nothing. Sometimes she said persons call and says fire, 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 and when the fire department is deployed, there is no fire, there is no emergency, and also people just make weird noises and so on. So I asked about some regulations and so on to deal with that situation, and that is something that is ongoing as far as I was informed. So I want to take this opportunity to make an appeal to everyone, every civic-minded citizen, to ensure that we do our best to protect our law enforcement personalities, individuals who are working hard day in and day out to ensure that your safety and security is of high interest to them and to you. The Compliance Task Force continues to do their work, visiting a total of 52 businesses and engaging 3 passenger buses. And these statistics are important for us because these statistics, amongst many others, is what drive our decision-making process. So these numbers or data is analyzed, and from that data, it informs and drives the SR and O's to some extent. And according to the reports from the team, the Compliance Task Force, most were revisits, significant improvement in most areas. Business who failed previously are now passing the grade. What I must say to that is that there's a checklist, and the checklist is either yes or no, and all the teams, when the teams go in or the task force goes in, they actually do the checklist and look at the percentage according to the particulars of the categories that they are checking, whether it's hand hygiene, whether it's distancing, and so on. So these are some of the that is how they classify some of these things. Let's look at the assessment done today, 22nd of May. And you see that the percentages are looking average, as we reported for the week, within the range of 70 to 80%, almost 90. As we continue, the liquor store, I think they are getting the message, so there is more compliance. Transportation, we had 100% compliance with the 3 buses that were checked. The personal hygiene, as Dr. Lars just mentioned how important it is, we see that everything here ranges from the 89% to 98%, which is very important. So it says that the behavioral outcome that we are desiring is being availed. Let's do a quick week in review so that we can see what has happened for the week thus far. In summary, let's look at the activities at our ports, and we can see that when it comes to the aircraft that have been movement, or planes that have been moving in and out of RLB International Airport, and I want to excuse my colleagues in Nevis, I was unable to get the data on time, and it's not reflective. This is reflective to RLB International Airport. You see the movement of several airplanes, whether it be cargo or private planes that were chartered. There were a total of 4 chartered planes, as you can see in the slides, and the others are cargo or courier jets. Those are DHL, FedEx, and Amerijet that brings cargo into St. Kitts and Nevis. And according to the statistics here, we would have had a total of 3 passengers, 3 nationals who were repatriated to St. Kitts and Nevis, and one would have been, and we had 27 passengers that would have been repatriated out of St. Kitts and Nevis. That repatriation process was reported day before. I think, yes, yeah, day before. We continue. Business. The business response to the protocol. Business response to the protocol, as we see in the chart. The blue means yes, the yellow means no, and we can see that most businesses for the past week have been doing extremely well in adapting to the new protocols. Transportation also has been adapting quite well to the protocols established. So the combined assessment for business, we looked at some of the areas that still needs improving is the distance markers at checkpoints, the 30 square feet per person to be observed, and the distance markers on the outside. So I'm appealing to all the business places. It's just a matter of maintenance and ensuring that the markers on the outside are refreshed every now and again. And then we look at the percentages for the past several weeks, and we can see that there is an improvement, a satisfactory improvement in the way businesses are adapting to the new norm, as well as the personal hygiene, which in the percentages that are shown has the best improvement of all. Transportation, if we look at the personal hygiene, we see that again, the average for the past few weeks goes from 85 to about 94%, which is very acceptable and well encouraged. Okay? Next slide, please. Next slide. Good. Between the 18th to the 22nd of May, we look at the assessment of businesses, and we see that 28% of the businesses were revisits, and 28% of the businesses needed to increase or do better on compliance, while 72% were more compliant. Then we look at compliant versus non-compliant, first time and revisits. We see that 38% of the business and the first time visit were non-compliant, while 62% were compliant. Revisits, we see that 78% with the revisits actually adhered to the recommendations, while 22% did not adhere to the previous recommendations. So again, I'm appealing to all to bring forward your, how must I say, commitment to ensuring that you enforce these protocols. Is important. We need it. Let's look at the cargo activity. Right. So we would have seen a number of ships that would have, and boats that would have come into St. Kitts and Nevis to bring cargo. And for the week ending the 22nd of May, we saw 3,462 tons of cargo brought into St. Kitts and Nevis. We had a total of, into St. Kitts, we had a total of 7 calls in St. Kitts and Nevis as it regards to cargo. Right. Again, we are reviewing the week. Rebecca's Catering donated watermelon in ginger sauce. Delicious. Maud Libod from the St. Kitts Diabetes Association donated a total of 1,000 EC dollars in cash. Sandy Point Benevolent Society donated financial support to our students in the United States of America. And Dina Kosick from New Orleans donated 15 pizzas to the NEOC. Let's take a look at the meetings that the task force would have engaged during the past week. We would have met with the Ministry of Education. We also would have met with the leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party and the chairman. And I must also highlight that that meeting was very amicable, as it begins with commendation from the leader of the said party to the task force, and it also ended with commendation for the work the team has been doing in St. Kitts and Nevis, and also highlights of things to improve was expressed. That meeting was attended by Abdias Samuel, Dr. Hazel Laws, and Dr. Cameron Wilkinson. The members of the task force also met with the Scenic Railway today. We discussed the way forward when the tourism sector is reopened. And that meeting went very well, and we were able to provide some guidance to the Scenic Railway. The task force also would have engaged this past week with the manufacturing companies, to that of Electrofab and Jaro. And I must state to everyone that we are highly impressed with the significant improvement that has been undertaken by these companies. I was also informed this morning that the U.S. Embassy in Barbados has indicated that they wish to make a presentation via the COVID-19 briefing. This gesture was well welcomed, and we are hoping to have this engagement sometime next week. I want to take this opportunity to wish my nephew, Hedson Josue Rosa, a happy birthday, happy 16th birthday, and I hope you enjoy your day. That has been our week in review, and let me inform our viewers, listeners, that as of tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, we are going to be having a small pause so the team can rejuvenate, catch themselves, and come back on Monday, bright and early, same time, same date, so that we can continue our work. So there will be a break tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, and then we will continue to do what we need to do. All right, so thank you very much for that, and we now turn it over to Mr. Williams.